This is your pal Hobbs, Scotch Natural Tortoise Keepers Canada. Back here with my recent worm report. If you're getting a new tortoise, I highly suggest getting a worm count. It tells you if your stool sample is infected with worms. All tortoises carry worms. It's if the worm burden is at a number that's large enough that it causes issues. And if you do have issues caused by a worm count, they'll be lethargic, lazy, etc. With me having a new tortoise and me having in Canada a substantial amount invested inside my tortoise group of Hermans, I'm like, maybe you shouldn't just introduce tortoises. It only takes a moment for an illness to transfer from one to the other, whether that be the herpes virus or respiratory infection, shell rot, really anything could just happen. I'd personally like to avoid one infected tortoise involving the rest of them. So I've recently got a new tortoise here. We've named her Frida. She's had a very loved life. She's got a little bit of pyramiding here, unfortunately, but we're working on smoothing her out a bit as time goes on. If you want to know how to have a smoother shell, follow along. She's a little bit shy, but also very social in a different aspect. It's hard to describe Frida. She's due for a beak trim, so be sure to keep watching our other videos as we show beak trim videos. Just here, this is the setup that she came with. She's kind of, the only thing missing was she wasn't fed off of a rough slate, so I've been feeding her off this. This is some nice dried feeds and weeds from the natural list of the tortoise table. She came with a combi bulb, not what I would recommend, but not what I gave her. So with that being said, I've done a quarantine. She's been alone for multiple years. This is a tortoise that is essentially entirely alone. I'm going to go and throw her in with the rest of my group with the idea that she'll be able to fit right in with the other three ladies and one male. Never keep your male tortoise with just one-on-one. That's the best way to create a harassment story. Even then, in the future, I probably won't even be keeping my male with my females for long periods of time, more or less short durations for egg production. Looking at little Frida here, she feels good and heavy for who she is, and that is what you want, is a heavy to weight tortoise. If your tortoise feels light for its size, you should be concerned. Unfortunately, you can't reverse pyramiding, but you can create smoother growth going forward. She is without a doubt the darkest tortoise that I have, and she's an Eastern Herman tortoise. You can tell by the patchy black lines and non-solid black lines. If they're a Western Herman tortoise, they have a straight black lines. She's a female due to the triangular space there, the small tail, the round shape instead of an A-frame shape. She's absolutely beautiful. It makes me want to almost smooch her. But in all honesty, I'm going to involve her with the other tortoises and get her introduced. She's going to be the smallest in the group, so we'll have to watch her, make sure they're not bullying her too bad, and that she's still getting fed. So number one thing, we weigh her. Make sure that each month she's having slow, steady growth. She's had a change in diet. She came from lettuce and human foods, in my opinion. And we're now transitioning her to weeds, plants, and flowers. And no lettuce, no greens. I pick on these people that say greens. Like, that's so ridiculous. What are greens? It's such a joke of the reptile industry. And it's pet shop regurgitated information that I'll never, ever stand with. And so moving forward, we're going to introduce her with the rest of the group, and she'll be outside in the garden with the rest of them. We have a large, spacious enclosure that, she's a feisty gal. I love Frida already. The meaner the tortoise, I just can't help but love the meaner the tortoise. Picking your tortoise up is a stress. Like, you can obviously tell here, she's not comfortable. She's trying to get away from it. It's a stress response. So with lack of ado, I'm going to introduce her to the other tortoises, so be sure to stay tuned to my other videos.